Actually, pre-modern people, traditional peoples, that's how they viewed life. Even people from other faith traditions, even the Christians, right? They didn't call people like Isaac Newton and others before him and Galileo scientists. That word wasn't around. You know what they called them? Natural philosophers. Natural philosophers. Why? Because philosophy to them was the study of seeing why God does what he does. What are the reasons? What are the wisdoms behind why things happen as the way they do? And so when Isaac Newton set out and put his laws of thermodynamics or laws of motion, he did so because he wants to see what is the secret of creation, why things work the way they are. Not to disprove the existence of God, not to use that as a way to say, oh, there's no God. So that means the idea of male and female, it's important, it's significant, right? What are some of the manifestations today of why, if people don't have that background and they don't see the things that they are, then they'll dismiss the idea of male and female. There are people today who do studies and they'll tell you that male and, my son, he's a sophomore in college, and he took a sociology class, and they told him, or his teacher told him, that maleness and femaleness is a social construct. It's a social construct. I don't know about the laws in Australia, but today in the United States of America, if I go back and I feel like being female, then I have every right to go and use the female bathroom and the female locker room, because I feel I don't have to have a sex change, sex transformation. I just have to have the intention within me saying, today I want to be female, and I want to be treated like a female, and I have every right to be treated like that. That's where we have arrived. That's where the discourse is at today, right? So they dismiss the idea that there's an intrinsic, I don't like to use big words, but intrinsic like telos, a reason for the way things that they are. But rather, everything is subject to human manipulation. Everything, even gender, right? Subject to human manipulation. And as a result, there's no foundations in that type of theology, because it is a theology, right? So where they view the world, it's not like any different. You know, when they say we have no religion, or you have a religion, and your religion has certain components to it, and amongst those components is that you dismiss outright that there's any rhyme and reason to the world, right? You think it's completely up to manipulation. Right? People, we should not feel ashamed as Muslims that we didn't come up with many of these despicable, destructive things that others have come up with. We shouldn't feel ashamed about that. I'm very happy that Muslims, we didn't invent the nuclear atomic bomb. Right? Because if you think about it, what type of weapon is that? How could you ever use that weapon in a manner that was strategic in a way that would be following the precincts of the Sharia? It's impossible. Right? Any bomb that can kill thousands and thousands of people at the time, right? There's no army that's going to be out in the field that will only affect that army and not everybody else around it. And not just the people, but the environment. What are the effects of the Chernobyl nuclear fallout and the nuclear bombs that were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan? Still to today, people are living the effects of those things. So how can we say from an ethical, moral, Islamic foundation that those things could be possibly something we would want to invent or we would ever want to use? So I'm quite happy to say that I'm glad we didn't contribute to that. We didn't think about that. That wasn't an idea for us. So these foundational principles, right, that define who we are, they apply to everything. So male and female, it's not an accident. Allah created you male or created you female but for a reason, right? And He also created you as the son or daughter of a certain set of parents. And He also created you as a person who may live or born in a particular geographical area or part of a particular tribe or ethnicity, right? How does Allah describe all those things? What does He say about them, right? He says there are signs, right? اختلاف ألوانكم وألسنتكم إن في ذلك لآية, right? There are signs in the differences amongst you. In other words, He's taking you, don't look at khalq, look at al-khaliq, right? Don't look at the creation and say, why are we different? That means I'm better or worse. You know what type of impulse that is? That's a satanic one, right? Because Shaitan was the first one to think of that, right? When he was the first one to say, Ana, he was the first one to say, I, khayrun min, I am better than him. And then he gave this fallacious reason. خَلَقْتَنِي مِن نَارٍ وَخَلَقْتَهُ مِن طِينٍ. I am from fire, in other words, I'm different, right, than this thing, and I believe fire is superior to clay. So why would you wrong me? Because that's what he was saying to Allah. You know, Allah wronged him. That's why he's a kafir, right? He knows Allah exists. In fact, he was one of the most fervent worshippers for thousands of years. None of us will do as much ibadah as Shaitan did in his prayer for his life. We'll never get to that in terms of amount. right? But what he didn't realize the reality of Allah, the reality of God, that Allah la yadlim mithqala dharra. He doesn't wrong anyone in the least iota. Impossible. No one gets wronged that way. Allah is not the source of wronging people. So if you were created male, you were created female, there's no wronging there, right? Some people think, why can't God make me a female or make me a male, right? I feel like I'm trapped in a male body or a female body. And what we say to that is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also puts signs in things that go outside of the norm, right? Some people are born blind, some people are born deaf, some people are born crippled, some people are born in all different states, right, that go outside of the norm. That's also ayat, right? That's also a sign, right? So those people, even though we look at them and like they're disabled or they're handicapped or there's something outside of the norm, they themselves are signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because what's ultimately more important is that we know our Lord, right? And the way that we're created, many of us will not know Him, right, by the blessings that He gives us, but rather by the taking away of the blessings. So unless there were blind people and deaf people, how would we know the blessing of sight and the blessing of hearing, right? If there was no day and night, if it was always day, would we have an appreciation for it? And if it was always night, would we have an appreciation for day? We wouldn't. We don't know what it is, right? That's why some of the scholars, they said that we don't really have an appreciation for Allah because He's never really actually let us taste what it would be like without Him. What would it be like without Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? It would be what's called al-adam al-mahad, absolute nothingness. Nothing, nothing, nothing. No time, no space, no creation, no trees, no flowers, no beach, no people, no blessings, nothing. Me, you and I, everyone else who ever lived on the planet, all of the planets, all of the stars, none of that would exist. Complete nothingness. So Allah never let us actually taste that. Right? We don't realize what's going on here. That in every single infinitesimal instant of time, Allah creates that.